For section 1, we're going to start with a D sus2 chord shape. It's with your third finger on the third string, 7th fret. First finger is partially barred along the top 2 strings, 5th fret. The middle finger is doing nothing. It looks like it's fretting, but it's actually just floating there. And we're going to strum. It's actually 4 strings, so let's do the arpeggio. That's how it should sound, and we're going to strum that. Then that's followed by an extension. We're going to throw the pinky down. The very next note, the pinky is going to go down on the first string, 7th fret. So we go right here, and then we just release that, 7, 5, as you see on the tab. Those are the single notes. And then the pinky is going to go down on the 2nd string, 7th fret. And with that, the thumb, you're just going to strum 3 strings. So from the top, we strum 4 strings, and then just 3. And then we have a 4-note sequence, back and forth between the bass note, open 4th string, and the 3rd string. So putting that together from the top, we're going to play it through twice. And it's not just to rehearse it twice, the actual arrangement, you do repeat it. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Now from this D3 chord shape, we're going to shift to an A7 sus4 chord shape. And the trick to this transition is keeping your third finger aligned along the 3rd string. So after we play the D3, the 3rd finger slides on up to the 12th fret. Now for the A7 sus4, I refer to this as a long triangle shape. What do I mean by that? Your 3rd finger is on the 12th fret. Pinky is going to go same fret but on the top string. That'll be the base of the triangle shape. And your first finger is going to go on the 2nd string, 10th fret. Here's the arpeggio. And what we're going to do is we're going to strum that chord, strum those 4 strings, and then we've got a 4-note sequence. And if you look at the tab, that's the 12, 10, 12, top string 12. So going back to the beginning of the A7 sus4 with the strum, and then the shift to A7. And with that, you keep your 3rd and your pinky finger aligned along the same strings. You just slide them down 3 frets. And then instead of the long triangle shape, we're going to do the short triangle shape, and that is putting the middle finger down on the 8th fret. That's the A7 chord. And we're going to strum that. So putting that phrase together, all is calm. Here we go with the all is calm. And then another 4-note sequence, just those middle 2 strings for the A7. Let's back it up to the A7 sus4. And then we're going to go to what is actually a D triad or a D chord. Features the 3 notes of a D triad. It's a unique chord shape here. Your first finger is flattened on the top 2 strings, 10th fret. Middle finger, 1 fret higher on the 11th fret on the 3rd string, and the open 4th string. And what we're going to do after that strum, same sequence we did, or fingerstyle pattern, as the A7 sus4. If you look at the tab, 11, 10, 11, 10. So we got the strum on that D. And then we're going to go down to a D chord shape. And this is slightly different than the opening chord. We go to that shape, but we're going to throw down the pinky on the 2nd string, 7th fret. And with that, we strum for the D chord 4 strings. And this is a little tricky. And for this, we're going to go back to the chord shape. We're going to do the strum. And then, whoops, we have that pinky down. That's the D chord shape. And then, while the bottom string and the top string are still sustained or ringing, kind of lift that pinky up, and you throw a little hammer in there. So I'm going to back it up to the strum on the D chord shape. Back it up a little bit to the D shape at the 10th fret position. Here's the strum here. And then down to the D shape. Now we'll back it up a little bit more to the A7 sus4 section, and we'll play these two sections together. A7 sus4, the A7, the D, and the D again at the 5th fret position. Here we go with the A7 sus4. And then the D. Next, we'll put together all of line 1, and we'll do a slow walkthrough from the beginning. Here we go. Keep the 3rd finger aligned, slide it up, long triangle shape. The short triangle shape. Then the D 10th fret, and the D at the 5th fret position. Strum, then lift the pinky. We can do that again. Let's do it from the top. Another run through. For the beginning of line 2, we're going to go to a G/D chord shape. And the trick to this is after we get done with line 1, we're on that D chord. You're aligned along the 5th fret position. That's where your first finger is partially barring. Well, for the shift to G/D, you think going 2 frets higher, 7th fret position, and think about an open D chord shape played along the 7th fret position. It's a G triad along with the open D bass note. That's why it's a G/D chord shape. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a strum, 4 strings. Maybe a good idea to do an arpeggio first. And then we're going to strum those 4 strings. And then, so let's back it up from the beginning of that line, the G/D. And then extend the pinky 3 frets higher. Now if you're holding the guitar right with a decent posture, you should be able to get that pinky. It is a bit of an extension. You got to go up to the 10th fret. So I'm going to back it up. And then we throw that pinky down, 10th fret. Now, on the arrangement, I tend to just aim for the top 3 strings rather than the 4th string constantly ringing throughout the whole progression. So I'll have the 4th string ring on the initial G/D. Now you could include the 4th string if you want. I happen to go for just the triad shape. And then with that pinky on the 10th fret on that strum, then lower the pinky 1 fret and then release. Your 2nd finger is already on the 2nd string or the 1st string to play that 7th fret. So we have the strum on the and then 9, 7. So we'll put it together from the beginning of this G section here. And then it's back to the beginning, the opening riff. Now putting those two sections together, the G, G/G, and the D, you put those together and then you repeat them, and that's all of line 2. So that's what we're going to rehearse right now, line 2, with a slow walkthrough, starting with the G/G chord shape. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Then right back to the G chord shape. Before moving on to line 3, there are only 3 lines in the total arrangement, but we should put together lines 1 and 2, get a foundation, and then we'll work on line 3. So we're going to do a slow walkthrough from the beginning. 1, 2, ready, go. For line 3, we return back to the A7 sus4, the long triangle chord shape. We're going to play the same fingerstyle pattern, so we're going to do the strum and then the 4-note sequence. And then we're going to slide up this time to a smaller triangle shape. Previously we went down 3 frets. This time we're going to go up 3 frets to the D7th chord shape. So we're going to move up. The 3rd and the pinky fingers stay down, or at least stay aligned. 3 frets higher, and the middle finger goes down. There's your smaller triangle shape for the D7. And then that's followed by a single note sequence here of 12, 9. So let's put it together from the A7 sus4. Here we go. And then we go to the D shape we played previously along the 10th fret position. And then just 3 notes after that, a 3-note sequence after that. So we've got the strum. And then we're going to go from 10 to 14. And one thing I have to tell myself to do is to keep the finger arched. You want to use your fingertip because we're going to apply a little bit of vibrato on that 14th fret. So what we're going to do is put it together from the beginning, a slow walkthrough with the A7 sus4. And here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... One note I tend to, when you play this D chord, maybe not emphasize that bass note so much. You don't want it too loud. You can just play the top 3 strings, because you really don't want this note, the 4th string, ringing while that slide occurs. So let's do that again with a slow walkthrough, and we'll start with the A7 sus4. And then we wrap up the main melody, the main theme, 2 more sections going back to the D shape at the 10th fret position here. And with that strum, just a strum followed by a 2-note sequence. And then keep the same shape down as we go down to the 5th fret position. So it's the same fingerstyle pattern. And then an open D. Now, don't strum the top string. It sounds better. I mean, if you do play the top string, it's fine as well, but I tend to focus just on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. And then what that is, that's going to lead into verse 2. But before we go into verse 2, let's put together now all of line 3, starting with the A7 sus4, and we'll do a slow walkthrough. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Now let's put it all together. We'll do a slow walkthrough of lines 1 through 3, verse 1, which is the main theme of the song. So here we go from the beginning. 1, 2, ready, go. Keep the 3rd finger anchored, go up to the long triangle shape. Down 3 frets. Then the D shape 10th fret position. Then the D shape. Sustain and then lift the pinky. Then shift up 2 frets, D chord shape here. Then repeat back to the D shape. Back to the long triangle shape. Curve the 1st finger. Little vibrato. Back to the D shape. Now for verse 2, we're going to return back to the same progressions, but we're going to add some variations. So from that ending, I just go right back into it. Pretty much identical, except we only do 3 beats. You also have the option of doing this if you happen to prefer this. So here's the other option. regardless, you've got 3 notes. I'm going to go back to using the 4th string. 3 notes, and then we have a little lead in. So we've got that pinky just going up from 7 to 8, and then right back to repeating it. So I'll play this from the beginning. Then we're going to do a little single note melody. 1, 2, 3, 4, and as far as the frets go, we're going 5, 7, 9, or if you're going to visualize this, it's 2 whole steps. Whole step, and then a half. 5, 7, 9, 10, and keeping that pinky down, we're going to go to the long triangle shape. Everything's the same here, and then we're going to do a little riff. So the key is after that triangle shape, whoops, and then you pivot that first finger. We're going to do a little hammer between the 9th and 10th frets. Pinky goes down to the 2nd string, 12th fret. Hammer and release, 9, 10, 9. So, and then right back to the, everything's the same here. The middle section, line 2, everything's the same, but you can do a little variation on maybe the tempo. But then here we go with the other lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same sequence of notes. 5, 7, 9, 10. Everything's the same here. Everything I play the same here. Everything's the same here. Now when we get to the end of verse 2, we're going to extend this D section a little bit more. Then we add this. A little hammer between 2, 3, and 2 on the top string using the pinky. Then we just kind of meander on down that chord shape. 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th string. You can almost do whatever you want on this part. We're, like I said, meandering, hanging around this D chord. While that 4th string is sustained, we go back to the D shape and a light strum on that triad, the top 3 strings, because make it a light strum, but also you don't want to interfere with that bass note that's ringing. So while that note is still sustaining, just drag the thumb across the top 3 strings. Once you have each section memorized, the next step is to put together a complete arrangement or performance of the song. And you can do that by going back to the beginning of this video and following along with the lesson preview. And once you have this song down, be sure to check out my holiday song playlist if you want to learn some other holiday songs.